We're chasing comedy, working on jokes, working on bits, seeing what sticks, seeing what stinks. We're Brian and Dustin, and we're chasing comedy.
Hey everybody! Welcome to the Chasing Comedy podcast. I'm Brian Scott McFadden, and Dustin Chapin is not here, and I'm here with our engineering wizard Adam Holtz and our guest today, which I'm thrilled and excited to have him here. I just work with this man at Aruba for the 8,000th time, I believe. We have done so many tours of Aruba. I think that's the only place we've worked. I think we worked together in Catch a Rising Star in Princeton in '94, and then Aruba 28 times. Yes, I think that's. This has been a legendary Boston comic. I know you hate hearing that, but a legendary Tony V, ladies and gentlemen, Tony V.
Hello, nice to be here. And let me just say this: it's not a bad thing to be a big deal in a small place.
Right. Yeah,
you know what
sure.
It's 36 square miles, and people come from all over the world just to see us.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
now, are you talking about Boston or Aruba, right?
Well, both places. I've chosen my pawns very carefully. Okay, Boston and Aruba, and that's it.
Yeah. You're big in both places.
Both places.
Yes. You've built a fan base. Oddly enough, and you actually have people that it's fascinating because when it comes to Aruba, we did shows for at Aruba Ray's Comedy Club. Shout out to Ray Ellen, Aruba Ray's Comedy Club, and whenever Tony appears there, very often, maybe not this last go around, but your fans and people from Boston always seem to be in the audience who know you. And,
Yeah, at certain times of the year, the summer's a little bit different. We had people from all over the world really during the summer, but there's a chunk of time in the winter, like from just after Christmas till mid-February. It's all Boston. When we were at the Holiday Inn, they always got me like a ground level floor that had a patio so I could smoke a cigar, uninhibited.
Yeah.
And so I'd be sitting out there having my coffee and a cigar, and I would say 60, 80 people a day would just walk by and go, "Hey, Tony, how you doing? We'll see you Thursday night. Hey, Tony, good. Hey, how's your mother? Good. Hey, is Kristen all right? Yeah, she's fine. Okay, see you Tuesday." And it's been like that forever. Yeah.
That's an amazing thing that you're literally like you're in Aruba. You're just away. You're not far from Venezuela, and yet you've got people. It's like you're on. It's right down on south. You're back in Southie or whatever.
Yeah. It's like you know what, I liken it to Cape Cod around here, where everybody goes. With the people they're trying to get away from to another place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. Like, I got to get out of this place. These people are driving me crazy. You want to go to the Cape? Yeah, all right. Let's go to Aruba. Sure.
Right. Which everyone else is there already. Right. The people you're trying to escape from have already beat you to the place. Yeah. So, kind of defeats the purpose, but hey, whatever. Right? That always the way. Wherever you are, there you are. There, wherever you go, there you are.
There you are. Right. And as we say, not good problems to have.
Yeah. Now I don't have to. You can give a quick synopsis of your, how you started in comedy. For those who don't know, Tony's an actor. He's a comic. He was just awarded. I hate saying it's like. Tony's a pretty humble guy. He doesn't, but he was just awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award for Boston Comedy, right?
Is it the Boston Comedy Festival? Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the basically. I can't believe that guy's not dead yet award.
But they just get it to you before you.
Right. Listen,
they suspect there's not that much time left.
Yeah, listen, he smokes cigars. You know, he's aging. He had a rough go in the '80s and early '90s. We don't know how
Yes.
long this is going to last. Let's tell him he was an okay guy.
We need to check this box before he checks out, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. So, because I worked with Tony at Catch a Rising Star in Princeton when he had a ponytail a long time ago, a very long time ago, and he was always very funny, and then I don't think I saw him for 30 years, right?
Yeah,
right?
and then we bump into each other in Aruba. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Because the Boston comedy scene, for people who know or don't know, is an incredibly fertile, and it's also very insular. There are guys there that are famous within that community that are like amazing comics, and you can work just that circuit and have a huge following. And there are guys like that. The guy, you know this better than I do.
Sure. Lenny Clarke, Steve Sweeney, Don Gavin, Kenny Rogerson. I would put myself in that, category of being able to work around here. And part of it is because of geography. It's unique in as much as, an hour and a half in any direction but east, you're in another state.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I can be to the New Hampshire border in about 25 minutes. Vermont and in Maine is another 15 after that. And then, Vermont is probably an hour and a half. Rhode Island, which is a place I believe shouldn't exist, is about 45 minutes away, and Connecticut. So, there's a lot of different markets that you can hit from here in the Northeast and make an okay living. Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to work back in the day. Catch a Rising Star. Louis Ferrandi used to book comics from Catch a Rising Star. They used to fly us up to Boston, and I was always amazed by that because I go, don't they have people up there that can do comedy? And obviously they had, and they had these killer lineups.
Yeah.
And us New York interlopers would go up there, and you would follow Lenny Clarke, Kenny Rogerson, and these guys that would go up and be slaughtering, and they used to everyone did 20 minutes, and then you would really have to bring the heat there because they had killer MCs too, that would just go up there and rock the place.
Well, that's how this scene started. The MC, the host, we would call it the host of the show. It was his night, so it'd be Tony V and friends, or Lenny Clarke and his buddies, or whatever, and you would go up, 3, 4, 5 times a night, and therefore you would get stronger just because you were on stage so much, So it became your night, and you would have guests, and everyone got. We got paid pretty equally, and you'd do 20 minutes. So it was like a showcase, but it was the showcase of the guy whose night it was, or the host. And to this day, I still do it. Tonight, I'm doing what they call a Boston blowout, and it's at a place called the Cohasset Music Circus, which is in the round. It's like a pretty. It holds 2,500 people. I don't know what we'll get, but we'll approach that. And I'll host. It'll be me, Christine Hurley, who's very dear around here, and Kenny Rogerson, as mentioned, Corey Rodriguez, who's a force to be reckoned with, and Will Noonan. So it's like all of us, maybe one of us can't fill that place, but all of us can.
Yeah, and there's a rat-a-tat. I don't know if you would call it. There's a sort of rat-a-tat style up there. There's really a powerful because of the number of heavy hitters up there. I don't know how I would describe it. You probably would know better than me. How to describe Boston comedy? Would you characterize it as different from I don't know, L.A. or New York? Or is there a specific style?
Well, I would say this: it's less laid back. You know what I mean? It's way less laid back. And we used to wear it like a badge of honor to give people from out of town a hard time.
And bury us. Yeah, and bury us.
Yes,
Yeah.
We would go out of our way to do it because this whole scene sprung up from a working class mentality. None of us were in show business. We all just saw this thing and go, I could give that a try. And because of the format we just mentioned, you would have to go on, and you didn't want to be the one to suck that night. So what you would try to match the energy and the pace of everybody else. And then people from we used to kid people about it. Guys from New York would come in and say, hey, what do you do for a living? And where you from? We'd go, come on, you don't care.
Yeah.
Let's get to the bits. I walked into Nick's one night, Nick's Comedy Stop, which is still running, one of the oldest running clubs around, and Richard Lewis was literally weeping in the back of the room.
That's amazing.
He was weeping because how can I follow this? This is insane. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Oh, it was a murderer's row of killers up there. I remember going up there for the first time, and I was like, wow, everybody's slaughtering. I think Sweeney was on the show. Rogerson was on the show. There was a guy, I can't remember some of the names. Who's the guy the MC who very loud guy? And passed away,
Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox.
Yes, Kevin Knox, right?
He was insane.
Yeah.
And people
and he would just slaughter, and then he would slaughter, and then the next guy would slaughter, and then it wasn't like there was a slow build to the show. There was just a titanic avalanche of attack mode, and I was able to hold my own, right, which I was very happy about, right?
You're very talented.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. I was just happy to get out unscathed, right? I had some funny voices I did, and some characters that I did, and I was like, okay, I'm a little different,
Yes, and it stood out. But there's a really famous story that's told, and if anybody cares about the Boston comedy scene, our buddy Fran Salamita did a documentary called "When Stand Up Stood Out."
Right, I remember Fran. Yeah,
and it chronicles the beginnings of comedy here. And there's a famous story in that about, Colin Quinn, who is, in my mind, one of the best comics working today.
Absolutely.
He came into Boston. He was staying with me. Yannetti sort of sponsored him to come up, Joe Yannetti. And we had to get him, surround him to get him off the stage, or there was going to be a riot.
because he didn't do well, or he insulted people, or what?
He was insulting people in Boston, and they didn't go for it, and being funny about it, And Yannetti had to go up on stage. Joe Yannetti had to go up and go, "Hey, he's a friend of ours." It was like the mob.
Wow.
This guy's a friend of ours. He's okay. We know he's from New York, but he's staying with Tony. Everything's going to be fine. Just let us leave in peace.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, it's like the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry in the comedy world, that kind of hostility or whatever. And there were so many of those guys. So people don't realize how many great Boston. Some people don't realize how many comics came out of Boston that are you don't know. Mulaney, isn't Mulaney from?
He grew up in Marblehead, just outside of Boston. He didn't do much work here. Burr, Bill Burr got started here. Stephen Wright, and it goes on and on. And they had the common sense to get out of Boston because they knew they were going to be stifled by nitwits like us. You know what I mean? So
right.
Yes.
Now, and you had a great. For those of you, you need to see Tony, because one of Tony's one of the things I love about watching Tony is that Tony there's absolutely no transition from the offstage Tony to the onstage Tony. And most comics don't pull that off as well as Tony does. That is like you're talking to Tony, and then he wanders onto the stage, and he basically just launches, and he has this. For those who haven't seen him, he's just disarmingly funny in a way that you don't see coming. Like the jokes are like, oh, that's so freaking funny, right? And I compliment you on that because I watch you and I go, there's an effortlessness and an ease at which. And I think the last time we worked together, it was one of the few times I've seen you, me, and the MC get sort of rattled by. I won't necessarily say rattled, but we did not click. All of us.
Yeah, we each one of us did something to make the audience go, why would they do that?
Yeah. Each one of us stepped on a pothole or a minefield and exploded it, and then damaged our set enormously. Right?
All three of us. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. It was remarkable. Like, because comedy, people don't realize how fragile comedy is. And if you say the wrong thing to a crowd, you insult someone in the front row in the wrong way, or you say something that somebody already said that the audience is like, he just stole from that guy. We heard that joke already. The audience respect level and interest level drops a slight, and then you have to do damage control to win their trust again.
Yeah, man, it's the Wizard of Oz. They pulled back the curtain, and saw, nobody wants to see the making of the cake. They just want to eat the cake. And sometimes you let out a little secret about the batter, and they go, nah, see, it looked pretty, but now I know what's in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and this particular show, there was a small crowd, and all of us went up and made some kind of, I don't want to call it a rookie error or rookie mistake, or just like it wasn't rookie, but it was sort of like I said something wrong, I picked the wrong bit, something about. Something. I did a disabled joke that they didn't like, or something, and it was like, okay, we don't like you now. What else you got? And
I think I think my faux pas was, in the first 30 seconds, I told them I don't give a about you.
Yes. Yes. And Tony, you're very. You're curmudgeonly, but you're lovable. You're like the uncle.
I'm like everybody's crazy uncle. Yes.
And so they didn't like that coming from you. Some crowds would have laughed and thought, that's cute, he's being that. But this crowd was like, why? Why didn't you like us?
You just got here. You don't even know us.
And immediately it was like, this is
Then it was work, and let me say this, to our credit, we all dug out of it.
Yes. Yeah.
We
all managed to find, we have enough skill set. Tony was like rallied, and as we usually, and when something is not going well, when you comment on how it's not going well, and they don't like that either, right?
Right. Yeah. Usually you can mention you're eating it, and they'll find that funny, like, oh, he knows. Yes. But this was like, yeah, buddy, you're on your own here. They were not with us. No.
Yeah, and I've noticed that many times. How many? Something's not going well, but then I'll call out the fact that it's not going well, and then they like me, and I'm off to the races. But this night,
they were not. No, and the person we were on with did a lot of crowd work, and I think he might have talked to everybody in the audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was simply saying, like, look, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell my jokes. And it came out, I don't really give a shit about you. And they were like, why? Yeah.
Why? For those young comedians out there, that definitely can happen. That can happen to you. It happens to even the best. And Tony's one of the best. And Tony, so I wanted to ask you about that particular dynamic that I notice. And there are very few comics that have that quality that I describe in you, that there's an effortless, there's no transition from you talking to me or the waiter, and then you're on stage, and there's no, and most people, they jack up the energy a notch, or they take the energy down a notch, or they alter. And I definitely, it's one of those qualities I admire, because I always feel like there's a bit of a difference between me. I have a kind of performance, you know.
Yeah, you're very performative. You have a very performing act, but you have you. Again, I think sometimes we see in each other's stuff we all wish we had.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think your skill level with voices and transitions and beating a joke until there's nothing left. You know what I mean? Right? You just, it's like you ring and you go, I think I got the last bit of humor out of this one. And the audience finally goes, okay, I think he's done. And then you'll come back to it. And I go,
that's funny. Thank you.
But you know, and I admire that greatly. You know, for me, and this is not far from even an exaggeration. I can be talking to somebody, hear my name, walk up on stage, you know, do a half hour or 45 minutes, walk back and continue the conversation I was having with the person. Like, oh, wait a second, I got to go do this thing. You know, but
and that level of ease and comfort in your voice and your demeanor and your stand-up skill set is like kind of rare. How would you like even explain how you are able to do that? It's such a unique thing, and only comedians might notice it, but it really is a gift. And you know.
It's partly because of what you were saying earlier about, you know, the way I learned the business going up. And you mentioned Steve Sweeney, Lenny Clarke, Kenny Rogerson, Noxie. I couldn't possibly every night manage the energy that they bring. So I knew somewhere in my head that there's no way I can go up and be, you know, more aggressive than them, louder than them, you know, faster than them. Yeah. So early on, I adopted a thing, and I believe this to this day, and I'll tell any young comic this. You might have to suffer a minute or two of bringing the energy of the audience to your level, to you, but they'll get on it. They'll get on it if you don't hurry it. And I think a lot of times comedians do see somebody who's loud or aggressive or dirty or whatever it is and think they have to outdo that. And I believe it's exactly the opposite.
Absolutely. I get that. The worst thing you can do, I teach this when I teach stand-up. I know you also teach comics, and I teach that all the time. It's one of the things. Never. It's you will kill yourself if you try to say, I got to be like that guy. They're your audience, and you have to bring them to you then.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And it's the worst thing to match that energy is impossible.
It's terrible. And usually what happens when people try to do that is they sacrifice their timing and their cadence and whatever personality they bring to their bits. You know, because now you're just trying to get everything out. You're speeding up. I get to this punchline, but you're not giving it its due. You're not giving it the proper thing. Because I firmly
and it comes off as, I'm sorry, interrupt.
Yeah, no, you go. You go.
No, they come off as inauthentic because they're trying to be somebody else. They're trying to actually match the guy before them, and so that never works.
Yeah, and I've said this a million times to anyone who would listen. You know, how you say what you say is as important as what you say. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it's got to be it's got to be your wavelength. It's got to be it's got to come from the heart. It just can't be your mouth spewing nonsense.
Yeah, and when you go on stage. You have this. So I have this obsession with opening jokes, right? Like where I always, I've always had this obsession with what you say when you first take the stage. And what you say, one of your things that you do is only a comedian, like I feel like not many people would notice the kind of what this does and the tone that it sets. And it's not that you do this joke all the time, but you always go, what is it? I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize. You walk on stage. It's this disarmingly funny bit. And the thing that makes it great is that you set it up and then you have like 3 tags on it. The lemon thing. And
please, it goes like this. Yeah. Please excuse my appearance, but this is what I look like.
Which is funny.
Right.
Right away, that's funny, right?
Right. And then, you play the hand you dealt. World gives you lemons. I say keep them.
3. That's 3 jokes.
Right. There's nothing wrong with a lemon. You don't know when you're going to run into some club soda or fish.
Okay, now that's 5 jokes. Okay, now see that the beauty of that. If for any comedians watching or whatever, if you see Tony do that, that is a work of art. Okay, that salvo of jokes. It's very subtle, but it is immensely. There is so much skill, recognition of comedy. Or fish is my favorite part of that. Like the downbeat ending of that, right? Club soda or fish. Okay,
right.
And it just loops the ending to such a degree that the audience, I've seen you do that joke, and the first joke won't get a laugh. Sometimes, right? Like if the first one, it'll go, they'll chuckle, and then the next one will get a little bigger, or the same chuckle. But eventually, when you get the fish, you've usually won them over. And it's like, okay, that's 5 jokes, so I don't get them. That's why you talk about me writing like ringing the hell out of like something because, and that came out of working in Jersey bars and hell gigs where I figured, look, if they don't laugh at the joke, I better hit them with volume. They'll just surrender at one point to the fact that I did that much effort and that much work.
Well, your Starbucks bit. Mm-hmm. When you go to Starbucks.
Yes.
And
yes.
They don't have coffee. Now, I think I counted the last time you did that. You say coffee 20 times in that bit.
And I figured, and it was one of those things that I even am still writing that bit, right? Like, because we talked more about adding more jokes, and I'm still not happy with it, right? Like, I'm still, I'm still,
yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I think there was one, I think there was one you said to me, which is like, why do you exist, right? If you if you don't have coffee, why do you exist?
Why are you here?
Yeah. Turn this into a car wash. I think I added to it or something. And you should just start doing. Should I bring my dry cleaning in here? Like that's the way. What's the point? Okay.
What's the point? Right. It's right there, and you say it. It's right there in the name. Coffee.
Yeah.
I don't think you understand, folks. Starbucks had no coffee. Coffee. Yeah. They didn't have coffee.
Yeah. And I'll keep saying it until they surrender, right?
Until they get it. Yeah. Yes.
Which sometimes takes a while.
Right. But a lot of guys would just abandon it, and go on with the joke. But you get them to get on your wavelength. This guy's really mad that they didn't have coffee, and I think he makes a good point. Right.
Eventually I will yell at them until they surrender. And so that's thank you. I appreciate that, because once again, it's one of those things that as comedians, you try to find what your voice is, and for whatever reason that that style for me, kind of like captures an aspect of my neurotic, obsessive. Because they get mad at me on the show. They get mad at me on the show because we write bits on the show and we bring it in right at them. They're constantly going, "We did Starbucks already." We've done 5 shows on Starbucks, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, enough already. Okay, so
but in your head, you're going, "I'm not done with it." You don't understand it. It's not finished.
No. Yeah. No, it's fun, because when the first joke, I think one of the first jokes I wrote for that was like, you don't have you have coffee at Starbucks. All right, I'll just have the swordfish then. Okay, okay, which was written in Aruba because we had swordfish, and nothing would have worked except that. Nothing, pizza,
no, swordfish is perfect.
Yeah. And when you stumble on that. Something like that, and so let's talk about that. Because you had such an accomplished career. Tony's been in the movie CODA, the movie The Town. I always forget and also Adam remembered that you were in Best Dad with Bobcat Goldthwait, correct?
World's Greatest Dad. Yeah, it was with Robin Williams, directed by Goldthwait. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a great story. Is that the one where you were in Vegas with playing the little pony machine with the racing? Was that when you were filming that?
Yeah. We weren't filming it. They were offering me the role, and what had happened was I was working at the Riviera out there, which I worked for 20 years, and always loved it. And Goldthwait, Bobcat Goldthwait, has been a dear friend of mine since we both started. I think
another Boston comic that people don't realize, right? Yeah.
He came down from New York, and the lore is that his first night in Boston was my first night on stage ever.
Oh, wow!
So he was the new guy, and I was brand new. No one would talk to us. And and the scene was all of 6 months old, and I was the new guy. You know what I mean? So
sure.
So anyway, we've been friends ever since. So he had this idea of I have a degree in social work, and this role.
Wait, hold on a second. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I got my. I graduated with a BS and I went to school. I graduated with a BS in psychology, and then I was working at a mental health center and working on my MSW, my Master's of Social Work, and that's when this whole foolishness started.
Oh, and where'd you go to college?
I went to UMass Boston.
Okay.
At the time, sorry, my phone.
Got it. Oh, no worries. All right.
Yep. Go ahead.
They're calling for their student loans.
Busy. They're very busy.
They want their student loans paid. Wait, that was long. But go ahead. So I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that Emerson. Yeah.
Yeah. So and just let me interject at this point. I think the reason, the way I get away with what I get away with, is I'm a little bit smarter than I look.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So you don't expect, you don't expect some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth to come out of something that looks like this.
No, that is. I want to interject. I want to say that is one of the key qualities that I notice with you. You do not see how smart the jokes are because you're not someone who phones it in. You have a very strong sense of wording, like just club soda or fish. I mean, just to me, I hear the music and poetry of comedy, and I hear you never know when you're gonna run into
some club soda,
or fish, right? And that is a lot smarter, and many of your jokes have that same quality. It's disarming.
They're smarter than I look. Yes, and I get that. I understand that. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so we were in Vegas. Getting back to that story.
Yeah.
I was working the Riviera, and Bobcat Goldthwait wanted me to do this part in The World's Greatest Dad, which was Robin Williams' vehicle. So I was working with my good buddy Jimmy Dunn. up at the Riv, and Robin was doing the MGM, stadium.
Yeah. Right,
I don't know what it held, 10,000.
mega room, yeah.
Whatever. So he was up the street, and I'm working the Riv, working the 80, 90 people a night. It was always a good show, and they would have multiple shows. So they came in to see me. Robin was staying up at the MGM, and they came in to see me, and I was already on stage. And it was Robin, Bobcat, a fellow by the name of Dan Spencer, who's very funny, and Toby Huss, who is does voices as well. He's on the King of the Hill, and he's had a great career. Yeah, and one of the funniest guys I know, very dry, and so I sort of see them. Chuckle to myself like, oh, this is a hoot, And so I'm on stage and I see Goldthwait and I go, I've done about 15 to 20 minutes or so, and I look past the audience and I go, hey, dude, you want to do a set? And he goes, yeah. So I go, oh, great, we have a special guest star, Bobcat Goldthwait.
Right.
And they
this is awesome.
Talk,
yeah.
And you're in Vegas.
Sure.
They don't know if it's real. It could be doing, at the Riviera, the guy that cut hair looked like Wayne Newton.
Right.
And upstairs was the men dressed like women doing the chorus line, and it was there was a Neil Diamond impersonator 2 floors away. So you don't know you don't really
a tiger. There's a tiger in the next room.
Right. Guys riding motorcycles in a sphere. So you don't know what you're gonna get. So he goes, yeah, that'd be great. And he comes up on stage, and for the first minute, they didn't believe it was him. And the audience says, oh, then they catch on. So he does 10 or 15 minutes, and he says to Robin, you want to do a set? And he goes, oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. And so then he introduces Robin Williams, and now the audience is just, they can't, they're over, they think it's like magic, know? And we're just howling. Jimmy Dunn and myself and Toby, we're just in the back howling. So the story goes, we hang out, and they're seeing if I'm going to work all right with Robin to do this part in the movie. And so he goes, I'm staying up at the MGM. Why don't we go up afterwards and we'll hang out and chat? And I go, yeah. And I knew Robin. We weren't close friends, but I had been in his company many, many times. So I go, yeah, that'd be great. So we go up to the MGM, and he's staying in the hotel behind the hotel.
Okay.
There's a villa behind the giant MGM where he's got the whole floor. There's the elevator opens into his suite, and there's a swimming pool and 5 bedrooms and a 24-hour concierge butler and
gym,
and would you guys like a sundae or a steak,
lobster, lobster,
2 calls, I can get you a human hand if you need it. Is that
that's great. Okay,
right. So we're joking around. So he goes, let's go gamble. So we go, okay, fine. So none of us are strangers to gambling, and we go downstairs. And in the middle of this mayhem of a casino, there's this 1940s game. It's a horse race game.
Yeah. Now, was that at the Trop? Because I remember that game. I can't remember what casino it was at, but I remember that thing.
I'm thinking the MGM.
It might be. It might be. I know that. I think. Yeah, it might be.
It was there, but. There's all the lights going off, and then there's this table with tiny plastic horses, and and what you would do was they looked like parking meters on the side, and it only took quarters.
Yeah.
You couldn't use any bills and it was just quarters, every
setting the scene, you're showing up at this thing in Vegas. Yes, they had this fantastic little game. It looked like some kind of weird video game, but they were little plastic
horses on tracks
running around a track and put quarters in. Okay,
right. So you had you feed quarters, and the odds would change every race, so you didn't know who was going to win. Yeah. You know that you could play a long shot or whatever. So we all go, whatever money we had, we just changed it into quarters. There had to be, I'm going to say there was $500 worth of quarters in the middle of this game. And we would just grab handfuls of quarters. It didn't matter, what went on, but we just had
this is legendary Academy Award winning legend Robin Williams, Bob Goldthwait,
Bobcat Goldthwait, Jimmy Dunn, right?
Yeah.
So we start playing this horse race game, and naturally, being comedians, everyone takes a turn calling the race. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And in the backstretch, here comes, and Robbins is pretty profane. I think, here comes Dick in the ass up from behind, and
that's fantastic.
And we're howling like school kids, not paying attention to anyone but us, and we just took over this game. There was not another soul on it, and we're howling, and Goldthwait calls a race, and Jimmy Dunn calls a race, and I call a race, and Robin, blah, blah, blah. We look up, there's 2,000 people have surrounded us. The jig is up, as it was.
Wow.
And we didn't even know it, but they're howling along with us. But we were so into this foolishness, that we didn't even realize this thing happened behind us. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I mean, I'm wondering if anybody had a camcorder back then that was that is a moment of the moment of comedy. There it is.
There it is.
That's it. That's the one.
That's the game.
Wow. Adam Holtz, ladies and gentlemen, right on
genius.
cue.
Yeah.
I remember that game. Nothing. I remember playing that game a few times. Didn't draw nearly the crowd that you're describing, right? Yeah. A lot of disinterest when I was playing, right? Very little. Yeah.
And it was fun because you're egging on your own horse, and it's like a real thing.
Yeah, it's a physical. And the whole thing. People forget what that was like with the quarter. The physicality, just like playing a record or a CD. The physicality of Vegas, where you're literally carrying buckets of quarters, and you're really involved.
Right. Yeah. And the horses are actually click, 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 as they go around. But we were so into ourselves. Again, comics. We were so just entertaining each other that we had no idea that this mayhem was happening around us.
Yeah, that is great. There's got to be somebody had to take a picture of that. There has to be somebody. What year was it? What year that was? Or whatever.
I'm gonna say mid to late 90s. If you look up World's Greatest Dad, I think it's around then.
Yeah. Adam will find that somewhere, I'm sure. Right. Because that's just because that was pre cell phone fanaticism, obviously.
It wasn't that crazy.
That wasn't that crazy, but that's like a great slice of show business. Kind of nostalgia there for the great Robin Williams watching that. So now, Tony, like we were saying, your creative process. I mean, at this stage of your career, because I sometimes sit down and write, but for some reason, and I try to work out things. But most of the time, I record things when I'm wandering. I'm at Starbucks before the show. I move stuff around. I work on pieces. And what I respect about you is that you've been doing comedy a long time, and your comedy is still fresh. You're a lot of people become kind of, they get kind of, they lose. You know what I mean? That they lose that kind of, edge of what comedy's about, or it's old and they don't write new bits or whatever.
Bits, right? They have a thing and they do it well.
Yeah,
but
you still seem to have, like, I've seen you. I work in Aruba, and there's a new piece. I haven't seen that one. That's pretty cool.
Part of that is if you're going to work in an area, because the road never really held any sway for me, or cruise ships or stuff like that. You know what I mean? So if you're going to work in a particular area, in my head, you have to keep it fresh. You have to keep it so people will come back and see you. Or, you don't want someone going, "Oh, we saw him 3 years ago," and nothing has changed. I'm always looking for the next thing. And I also think it keeps your brain active to think of stuff,
Right.
And with me, it usually starts with like something I'll hear or something I'll think about. A bit I'm working on now, and I think I tried it maybe once in Aruba, but it's not quite there yet, is, I say, you remember like 6 or 8 months ago when we used to believe in science?
Mm-hmm. Right
Which
away.
is,
Okay, so right away in vintage Tony V style. Okay, that's funny right off the bat for you. The first line. Okay, right. Even if you object to the political, what might sound like some kind of political implications,
it's subtly subversive.
Yes,
but it doesn't. Which is the way I operate. Anyway, so I go. Remember 6 or 8 months ago when we used to believe in science? Well, Einstein. You know who that is? He had a theory that the closer you get to the speed of light, the slower time goes. Mm-hmm. Right? I will never get to space, but I drive 85 or 90 on the highway.
Right.
So I figure every 2 or 3 months, I'm getting about a minute and a half back.
Okay, now now this is not something that when Tony V takes the stage, you are expecting to hear a speed of light exploration. That's what makes you funny, is that you have and believe me, the audience is even if they're not a sharp crowd, is watching that and going, "Damn, I didn't expect him to say that." Like that's part of
right. Yeah. We didn't expect that to come out of that, and so I would say that bit is about 80% there.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is spend the next month or so figuring out the exact wording, and until then it'll become like a newer piece.
Now, do you work on that on stage? Do you mull it over? Do you sit down? Yeah, on stage. It's always on stage.
It's got to be on stage, and you try to. I would sandwich it between, stuff I knew was going to work.
Yeah. Because. You could think about Einstein driving, because on the show we often do this. We go, "All right, what's not working for you?" We go like, "What do you need help with?" And I love doing that kind of work. I always look at a joke as like, here's a comedy problem. It's like a puzzle. What can we do here?
And you got to find people you trust and like. To sort of act as a sounding board.
Sure, because that's rare too. Not just that somebody could be really funny, but they don't quite click with your sensibility, or they don't,
Right, and I think there's a lot of that is lost. The more insular people become, because it's an individual pursuit. What we do, that back in the day, it used to be if I thought of something that I didn't think fit my act, or was, I thought about it because somebody said something that triggered it, I would automatically give it to them. I'd go, look, I was watching your set, and I think you could do this better than me.
Yeah.
But that has gotten lost, I think, a little bit in the competitiveness of our.
You mean, because sometimes I'll think of something, it doesn't fit my act. Yeah.
Right.
And I'll go, and that's a tricky thing with comics, because I can't even tell you, most of the time when people have suggested something, even comedians, oftentimes I'll go, no, but when they're good, they're like, amazing.
Yeah.
Right. You can get a great line that you never would have thought of from somebody else going, oh, I think I have a tag for you. And when somebody says it, 90% of the time I'm going, no, all right, go ahead.
Right.
But there have been moments where, and I'll actually share one. I do a joke about, I'm going to give Ben Rosenfeld, a comedian, a friend of mine who came up to me, because I have a joke about a woman comes up to me, which is true. A woman came up to me. I do a joke about. She comes up to me. She goes, "I have a disabled child at home," and I didn't think that joke was funny, because I said, "Yeah, you don't take a guy with no arms to a petting zoo, okay? Because there's a guy not laughing in the crowd." And I go, "Why isn't that guy laughing?" She said, "Oh, he has no sense of humor, and you brought him here. You don't take a guy with no arms to a petting zoo," which is a joke that I worked on. I was trying to find the perfect analogy for why you would bring someone who doesn't fit somewhere, and petting zoo just sounded so fun. I always thought petting zoo was funny
funny phrase. Yeah.
No arm to a petting zoo. Yeah.
My favorite part of that joke that you do is this face don't go to Chuckletown, or.
Oh, this face don't. This face don't go to Chuckle Junction. Okay, Chuckle Junction.
Junction. That's it. Chuckle Junction is funnier than Chuckletown.
Yeah.
Right.
This face don't go to Chuckle Junction.
Yeah. That always makes me laugh. Always makes me laugh.
Thank you. You're not gonna make me laugh, son. This face don't go to Chuckle Junction. Okay, that's like a case of like the joke is funny, but then I wanted to have something that wasn't like hacky. Like a lot of people do it. A lot of people do a joke like, oh, guy not laughing, you're not gonna make me laugh. But Chuckle Junction just sound really funny to me. Right?
It's funny.
Yeah. And so this guy, I have this joke where I go, you don't take a guy with no arms to a petting zoo. And a woman comes up to me, she goes, "I have a disabled child at home, and I didn't think that joke was funny." And I said, "Well, that's why I did it here and not at your place." Okay, and that's that good solid laugh there. And then she said, "Do you always do jokes about the disabled in your act?" And I said, "No, but I'm trying to make my act more inclusive." Okay. Because at the time there's all this diversity thing, and so but Ben Roosevelt came up to me and she said, why don't you say accessible? Okay, because then it plays on the
handicap accessible.
And it actually is problematic because it's more positive, which makes the last joke tougher, because I go, well, what if there were people without arms in the audience? How do you think they would react? I said, well, they wouldn't be applauding, which is very dark. You take
it down the logical path.
Yeah. So, but he said accessible, which is in some ways better because it's more genial. Right, than saying it has a different meaning. It has a double meaning. So that's a perfect example of somebody coming up to me and giving me a joke that really actually, that's a really good suggestion.
Right. And handicap accessibility is a phrase. It's it's recognizable.
So I've done that joke, and that's one of those rare cases where the audience, I'm doing that riff, and the audience is actually on board, thinking, oh, he's making it. He's being sensitive to the handicap issue, which is good. So, but back to the I love the premise of the speed of light and because it just coming from you. and seeing you going to theory of relativity and doing astrophysics is really funny, you know? So, I mean, you know.
Yeah. Yes, it plays against type. And I think that's funny. And one of the things I always appreciated in humor, and I find this more in British comics and like with Python and stuff like that, is they will do something completely silly and then do something completely heady. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a fart joke and a Chaucer joke have the same weight to these people. And
absolutely.
I think that's a good approach to have.
Yeah. Then in so many of Monty Python's pieces, you have the fish slapping dance, you know, when and he's slapping him with a grunion or something like that, and then you have that mixed with the Noam Chomsky exploration of class struggle in
medieval times,
the medieval times, right? Where they're like, we're stopping the workers, you know, we're up with the workers, we're an anarchist collective, you know. It's like this incredibly hilarious and articulate political discussion by a peasant, you know, talking to on your king. I didn't vote for you.
Just throwing mud on top of mud.
Right.
You can't claim supreme autocracy because some moistened bait threw a sword at you.
That is just that interchange. The juxtaposition of those two things is such a beautiful and
that's what I have always found funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like Ray Romano had that similar dynamic to you, because when he went on stage, Ray used to look like he was a mattress. He used to deliver mattresses, and he had the demeanor of a guy that you would see unloading a mattress truck, and then he would be. And then he would come out with jokes that you go, wait a minute, what was that right there? You know. Yeah. I remember when he said I was in Europe. The Burger King employees there are required to be bilingual. Okay, think about that for a minute, folks. They're in Europe. They're required to be Burger King. The employees are required to be. Have you been to a Burger King here? They're not even lingual. Okay. Now that is so funny. I did not see that coming. It's such a they're not even lingual. Okay, because most comics would butcher that and go they don't even speak one language they're multi. You know, they're not. They're the bilingual. They're not even. But they're not even lingual. It's just I was like, that is such a great joke, and
that's a great joke. Yeah.
I don't know why. Yeah, go ahead.
Those are the jokes that you hear someone do it and you go, that's been there the whole time.
Every time, all the time.
Right. Yeah, and that's the mark of a good joke, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
you have the thing, at least I'm symmetrical, which is such a great I've heard jokes about Yeah. No, but that is the perfect example. Do the joke because
you see a lot of ugly people walking around the beach. You know what I mean? I always say to the audience, it's not you people. You know, but there's people that, they're just walking and they're sort of, they're just dragging in the sand. I go, look, I'm not much to look at, but I'm symmetrical.
Right. At least I'm symmetrical. Yeah. It's and that word just takes that joke off the charts. Right. It's like perfect in a way that you're like, there it is, right there. You can't top that, right? You know.
Right. That sums up that sentiment pretty well. Yeah.
And when you write heady material or good wordplay material, oftentimes you're faced with a situation where it's getting, the audience might not get it, or they might not that, but that, like a joke like that everyone will laugh at. The sound of it is funny. It's got the K sound in it.
Right. You get it on one. Yeah.
And everyone will look at that and go, that's really funny.
Yeah, I have a bit about autonomous cars. They want to foist autonomous cars on us. The
self-driving cars. Yeah.
Self-driving car. And that's the point. I told a buddy of mine that joke, and I said, the autonomous. He goes, people won't know what that is.
Right.
And I go, how do you not know what that is?
Right.
He goes, well, what is it? I go, it's, a car with no driver. And he said, well, say that. There doesn't need to be anyone behind the wheel. And then after you explain it, now you can go back to using autonomous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't leave anyone behind. And the bit is, I think the only car that should be able to drive autonomously is a hearse. Because I think it's funny. Tell me you wouldn't laugh your ass off if you saw a hearse driving down the street with no driver.
Right.
You'd be going, is it the guy? How, what, and then inevitably when it gets in the accident, it's going to get in. Nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, the guy's already dead, right?
He's dead. You can't get more hurt than dead.
You can't get more dead, right? You know what I mean? Right, like, were there any? Did anyone die? Well, not technically. Was anyone killed? Yeah. I don't know. We might need a rule. Was anyone killed? Well, we might need a ruling on this. Like that. You mean including the one who was already dead?
Dead? Right.
Yeah. Right. So that's such a funny. That is such a great. That's such a funny. Yeah. The wording of getting into something is so. So the audience doesn't get. So amazing.
But in my head, everyone should know the word autonomous, what that means. If I know it, you should know it. But but just adding that little parenthetical, self-driving cars, you don't know one behind the wheel. People go, oh yeah, right, and then you go autonomous again.
And that once again for our comedy aficionado fans out there, the specificity of language and the need to bring the audience on board so that they're not lost because they're doing math.
Right.
They're doing math in their head or going. Right. You don't want that, Right.
And you don't want someone nudging someone going, "What's autonomous?"
Well, that's so weird. Like because. I have a joke. We're going to have to wrap this up soon. This has been.
I know we've been talking a long time.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't even realize because we usually have premise. We have a premise wheel and we have an AI heckler. Hey, we actually have. We're going to do. I want before Tony leaves. I want to do one where we take one of the jokes that he wrote, like the what is it either the self-driving car and see what the AI comedian would do with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we could do
that. I didn't mean to break your show, by the way.
It's been great.
It's just easy to talk to you, and we do this in Aruba for hours anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are either you're playing cribbage with Ray, or we're between gigs, between fish. Things,
looking for something to eat.
Yeah. I have a joke that I have a joke while he loads that up. I have a joke where I said, people during the pandemic, people were like shocked that some people didn't want to get vaccinated, and people were like, this country, everyone used to listen to the Surgeon General. And I had this joke, it never worked. And they didn't know why. Like, people used to listen to the Surgeon General. I said, oh, yeah, really? People are still smoking. Okay. And I love that joke. But you're laughing right now. And I go, that joke never got a laugh. And I couldn't. Go ahead. Like, I couldn't. Was there.
No, it's perfect.
It doesn't work. But it doesn't work. I've done it so many times, and I think it's because people think vaping or marijuana. They don't immediately go to cigarettes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And I say, and I hate it. but I have to say, people are still smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. Right. And
I had to add cigarette. I had to add 3 syllables just to make the joke work, and then they laughed, right? Because I go, people are still smoking. They go, smoking what? Marijuana, vaping? What's the big deal? Like, and I'm going, no, cigarette. The whole thing is about the Surgeon General writing notes on the packs, and 30 million Americans are still reading that, going, it's fake news, you know? Anyway, so what do we got to wrap up the show? I want to hear what Tony V, comedy legend Tony V, and the AI, compared to the AI comic. Maybe the AI comic has some suggestions for your driving at the speed of light. What you want to try to stump the AI comedian, Tony? Do you want to see what they would write? Self-drive. Let's see what self-driving cars spits out.
Yeah, so this is what it came up with for self-driving cars.
Have you ever noticed how we're trusting our lives to self-driving cars now? I mean, we can't even get printers to work right half the time. I tell my car to take me to the grocery store. Next thing I know, I'm halfway to Albuquerque and out of beef jerky.
Wow. Yeah, that's wow.
I think I win that one.
Big time. Wow. Okay. Yikes. All right. You know, that is every open micer I've ever seen right there.
And these self-driving cars, what's up with that, right? Am I
right? So that shows you that AI is really not doing it yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. Nor do I think, with the complexity that stand-up offers, which is tone and those things. I know people say, no, it's in its infancy, but just the fact that it has to scrape and do jokes from all over is going to make that problematic for AI, because it's going to lean towards hack every time.
Oh, absolutely, because it'll just go for the most common stuff that's used, which is hacky. And I'll say this, it's never going to work. AI has no heart. It has no heart. And at the base of all humor is the humanity that the comedian brings to it.
Beautiful. That is. I even want to end on that, because because we're 7 minutes into the overtime on the hour. But that is nothing more insightful than that. The heart, the humanity, the exposure of human foibles, and the commonality that we have as artists and as people is what makes makes comedy great.
Yep.
And great comics good at it. And AI will just be looking for, hey, what's the deal there? And I mean, I don't know how, maybe they'll figure it out. I don't know, but I seriously doubt that they'll be able to look at a joke like that and go, no, that sucks. That's hack. That was done by this guy, or,
Right. Yeah.
And to find a way in that somebody like a Tony V would be able to say, no, we're kicking. That would be my first choice, and that sucks. So let's get that out, right?
Get out. Right.
That's completely hack.
Always throw out the first 3 things you think of.
Exactly. All right. Well, anyway, thank you. This has been great, Tony. We didn't get to the premise wheel, but maybe we'll do it another time. I really appreciate you coming out. Do you want to plug anything, or you're giving your social media handles or your podcast or whatever?
Tony V Comic on all your platforms. Mm-hmm. And I got a special out somewhere called Where Do You Hear This?
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Look for that. And thank you very much. Tony V, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out, and find us, follow us, subscribe to us, follow us on social media, and we'll see you next time on Chasing Comedy, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, folks, that's our show. It's time for us to go. Make sure to follow us, give us a like, drop us a comment, and always subscribe. We're Chasing Comedy on all the socials. We hope you had a gas, had some laughs, and maybe you learned something too. Until next time, we're Brian and Dustin, and we're Chasing Comedy.